Unemployment's the lowest it's been in 4.5 years. We led the South in manufacturing jobs created this year. Education, we have 55,000 more kids proficient in math and 38,000 more in science than 2 years ago, and highest graduation rate, or one of two states with a double-digit graduation rate increase, in the best TCAP improvement scores we've had in the history of the state. The bill was brought up last year, and we asked to delay it while we thought through all the ramifications. In the end, we decided to have a voucher program, but to focus it only on the lowest 5% of school, the lowest performing 5% of schools in the state, and then our lower income kids, with the thought that if we can help kids in that situation, then why wouldn't we? There'll be a cap on it. It starts with a maximum of 5,000 kids and grows to a maximum of 20,000. That's out of 1 million kids in our K through 12 system. We are going to put some accountability measures in for that schools, because as you know, we've placed a lot of stock in accountability for our public schools in terms of, evaluating teachers and everything else, and so in showing what kind of value added a school has, it only seems fair that if we're going to take public money, that there be accountability provisions in there for the private school as well for that child. We put $34 million toward us, opened basically for capital improvements for the local school boards to decide themselves how to use. If they want to use that on security measures, they can. We also are putting $51 million toward technology improvements.
Right.
We're changing from the TCAP test that if you have kids or whatever that you're familiar with Tennessee, to what's called a PARC, and I forget what it's an acronym for. But it's a different kind of standardized test. But basically, they do it all they take all the tests on the computer. So that prompted the question, well, who's paying for all the technology? And so there was a lot of debate about who really owed that, but we decided to step up and say we would. So we're also putting $51 million into technology equipment in the schools. At the wrong end. I mean, I don't know where we are, but right. We're in the bottom class, okay? And I think it's a couple of things. I mean, some of it is tied to education. I mean, again, same thing. It's education attainment can be directly tied to incarceration rates. I mean, everything you've heard about that really is true. Some of it is tied to, for whatever reason, we're abnormally high. The area that stands out in Tennessee is domestic violence. When you look at it and say where we are compared to other places, and most other crime, like property crime, we're getting better in Tennessee. It's dropped really the last several years. It keeps going. I mean, burglary, theft, et cetera, all that's going down. What's going up is domestic violence and then aggravated assault. And again, is that a cultural thing? I can't quite figure out what's going on there. The last piece is we do have some issues tied to, we have a drug epidemic in a couple of ways in Tennessee. Prescription drug, and then meth is still a huge issue in Tennessee. But, I personally think that's one of the better investments we've made since I've been in office. I was with Dr. Raines at Memphis just this morning, and then every time I ask her about it, I ask her how it is in terms of enrollment and, the number of students and then what they're taking. I think she's really encouraged, and I am too.